Prylorian starship exploded into a blinding fireball, debris scattering across the blackness of space as stunned Prylorian crew members gaped in disbelief at their view screens. Impossible. The humans had actually done it. They had refined the volatile novium and weaponized it. The ravenous energy of the rare mineral, thought to be impossibly beyond the grasp of any species but the Prylorians themselves, had just been unleashed by the brazen upstarts from Earth. It was a day that had been building for months, since the failed trade negotiations on the Prylorian homeworld. Lieutenant Caleb Parker had been there, part of the human diplomatic delegation working to secure an equitable trade deal, including access to the rare and coveted mineral novium that was key to both Prylorian and human advanced technologies. But the Prylorians, led by their unyielding representative Novak, had been clear: novium would never be shared. It was too volatile, too dangerous for any other species to refine and utilize safely. Only the unique biology of the Prylorians made it possible for them to process the unstable mineral, or so they claimed. Caleb hadn't bought it. In a heated private confrontation with Novak, the human had brazenly declared that if the Prylorians wouldn't share novium, humanity would just have to take it for themselves. He had slipped a small raw sample of the rare ore into his pocket and smuggled it back to the human embassy. And so had begun a desperate, clandestine scientific arms race, with Caleb and a covert human research team racing to unlock the secrets of novium refinement while keeping their efforts concealed from the watchful eye of Prylorian surveillance. The initial experiments had been nerve-wracking, with the raw novium proving every bit as unstable and dangerous to handle as Novak had claimed. But Caleb had pushed his team to keep going, convinced that the Prylorians were hiding something, that there had to be a way to crack novium's code, and then the Prylorians had discovered their secret research efforts. Novak had been furious, confronting Caleb and demanding the humans cease their perilous novium experiments at once. When Caleb had refused, stating defiantly that humanity would not be limited by Prylorian boundaries, the tensions between the two factions soared to the brink of outright conflict. Prylorian warships had surrounded the human embassy, weapons charged and ready to obliterate the compound if the humans did not yield. Caleb and his team had worked frantically, tense hours slipping by as they sought an elusive breakthrough in stabilizing novium, knowing that time was running out before Prylorian patience reached its end. Finally, a new approach using nanomachines had shown promise, only to lead to catastrophe when an attempt to scale up the process triggered a devastating lab accident, killing several researchers in a massive blast that brought down part of the embassy. The Prylorians had been sure that would be the end of it, that faced with such a dramatic failure, the humans would at last concede the futility of their efforts and submit to Prylorian control over novium. But even with smoke still rising from the rubble of the embassy, Caleb and his remaining diehards had refused to give up. The accident had been a setback, but now they knew they were on the right track with the nanomachines. And so, salvaging what they could, they had rebuilt in secret, toiling in hidden labs to perfect their refinement process and build a prototype novium-based weapon, all while the Prylorian fleet loomed ominously in orbit above, poised to wipe them out at the first sign of the humans crossing the line. The humans knew the risks. They knew that they were on the edge of a diplomatic precipice that could tumble into war at any moment. They knew their lives hung by a thread. But they believed in their cause. For the future of humanity, they had to secure their species' access to the rare and powerful novium. And so they pressed on, fighting against time, the odds, and the scornful derision of the Prylorians to achieve a scientific breakthrough the likes of which the galaxy had never seen. Because sometimes, for humans, the greatest leaps forward came when everyone else said it simply could not be done. Amidst the smoldering ruins of the human embassy, Caleb and his battered team of scientists worked feverishly to resurrect their shattered research. Makeshift lamps cast flickering light across jury-rigged equipment as they painstakingly refined the nanomachine-based novium stabilization process fueled by desperate drive. "The containment field needs to be stronger," Caleb mutters, sweat dripping down his forehead as he adjusts the parameters. "Increase the power to the quantum stabilizers." After countless iterations and tests, pushing themselves to the brink of exhaustion, they finally achieve a repeatable method to safely process the volatile mineral. The lab erupts in tired but triumphant cheers. Caleb wastes no time contacting Admiral Jackson. "Sir, we've done it," he reports over the encrypted channel. "We've stabilized Novium, but the Prylorians are poised to attack at any moment. We need backup now." Admiral Jackson's response is swift and decisive. A contingent of Earth's most advanced warships, dripping with powerful weaponry, drops out of hyperspace near the planet, taking up defensive positions around the embassy. The Prylorian fleet, caught off guard, holds position, unwilling to risk a direct confrontation. Emboldened, Caleb sends a terse message to Novak. "We have successfully stabilized Novium. It's time to cease this aggression and return to the negotiating table in good faith." Novak receives the message with a mix of shock and disbelief. Some of the hardline Prylorian leaders scoff, convinced it must be a bluff. But Novak senses something in Caleb's tone that gives him pause. Caleb presses the advantage. "If you doubt our claim, let us prove it to you. I invite you and the other leaders to attend a demonstration of refined Novium's capabilities. See the truth with your own eyes." After tense deliberations, the Prylorians warily agree. They arrive at the designated site, a mix of curiosity and apprehension on their alien features. Caleb stands before them, a small sphere of refined Novium pulsing gently in his hand. He connects it to a damaged shuttle engine, and with a pulse of blinding energy, the engine roars to life, its output and efficiency dramatically enhanced. The Prylorian leaders stare in stunned silence. Some radiate anger, seeing their technological supremacy crumbling before their eyes. But others, like Novak, slowly nod, recognizing the potential for a new era of cooperation and shared prosperity. But before any words can be spoken, all hell breaks loose. A faction of rogue Prylorian militants, incensed beyond reason, launch a devastating surprise attack on the human embassy. Bombs rain down, shattering buildings and scattering debris as the human fleet scrambles to mount a defense. Amidst the chaos, Caleb rallies his team. "We have to evacuate the Novium samples," he shouts over the deafening explosions. They race through the crumbling corridors, dodging falling rubble and energy blasts as they make their way to the landing pad. In orbit, Admiral Jackson's ships engage the Prylorian attackers in a fierce battle, the void lit up by the crisscrossing of deadly energies. The humans fight with steadfast perseverance, knowing that the fate of their future hangs in the balance. Caleb and his squad burst onto the landing pad, the precious case of Novium samples clutched tightly. A shuttle waits, engines primed. But as they race towards it, Prylorian troops pour out from the surrounding buildings, weapons blazing. "Get the samples to the shuttle," Caleb orders, pushing the case into the hands of his lead scientist. "We'll hold them off." He and his soldiers take up positions, a thin line of defiance against the oncoming Prylorian horde. Laser blasts fill the air as they fight with desperate courage, buying time with blood. The lead scientist sprints up the ramp of the shuttle, Novium samples secure. The engines surge to life, the craft lifting off even as its hull is scorched by enemy fire. Caleb and his men stand their ground in the face of overwhelming odds, pouring fire into the advancing Prylorians, each fallen human taking down a dozen attackers in turn. They fight with the fury of a species who have clawed their way to the stars, who refuse to be denied their destiny. As the shuttle claws for the safety of orbit and Admiral Jackson's fleet clashes with the Prylorian ships high above, Caleb and his dwindling band of warriors prepare to make their final stand on the blood-soaked landing pad. The Prylorian forces close in, death in their eyes, as humanity's hopes rise with the escaping shuttle. There will be no surrender, no retreat, only the courage of those willing to sacrifice everything for the future of their people. And so Caleb and his soldiers raise their weapons, the light of defiance burning bright in their eyes, ready to face the oncoming storm. The landing pad erupted into chaos as Prylorian forces swarmed towards the human position. Caleb Parker's voice cut through the din, barking orders to his team. "Get those samples on the shuttle now," he shouted, ushering the scientists carrying cases of refined novium up the boarding ramp. Move it, people! Marines fanned out around the perimeter, taking cover behind hastily assembled barricades. The air crackled with energy as Prylorian artillery rained down, sending shockwaves through the ground. Caleb sprinted to a nearby railgun turret, sliding into the seat and powering up the massive weapon. He gripped the controls, sighting down the barrel as the first wave of Prylorian troops came into view. The turret roared to life, spitting hypervelocity slugs that tore through the alien ranks. Bodies flew apart in sprays of gore, but more kept coming. "Sir, east flank is collapsing," a Marine shouted over the comms. "Hold the line!" Caleb yelled back, swinging the turret to pour fire into the new threat. For what felt like hours, Caleb's world narrowed to the stream of targets in his sights and the burning heat of the overworked railgun. One by one, he watched the Marine positions fall silent. A searing bolt of energy slammed into the turret, melting through critical systems. Caleb leapt clear as it exploded, rolling to his feet to face the advancing horde. A towering Prylorian strode forward, ornate armor marking him as their leader. "I am Commander Zavak," the alien's voice boomed. "Surrender the Novium and cease this abomination, human." Caleb spat blood, raising his sidearm. "Go to hell!" He emptied the clip into Zavak's troops before the gun clicked empty. With a roar, Caleb charged, enhanced muscles propelling him into the alien ranks. His armor's systems flashed warnings as blows rained down, but Caleb fought on. He grappled with Zavak, the two locked in mortal combat as the shuttle's engines flared to life behind them. Caleb landed a crushing blow to Zavak's head, staggering the alien. Victory was within reach, and then white-hot pain lanced through Caleb's body as enemy fire found a gap in his armor. He stumbled, strength fading as Zavak recovered. The Prylorian commander advanced, energy blade humming. Caleb's bloodied lips curved in a defiant smile. His fingers found the armor's self-destruct panel. "For Earth," he whispered and pressed the button. The explosion vaporized Caleb, Zavak, and scores of Prylorian troops. Through the inferno, the shuttle rocketed skyward, precious novium samples secured. In orbit, Admiral Jackson's battered fleet fought desperately. A cheer went up as the shuttle docked safely, even as reports of Caleb's sacrifice came in. The Prylorian attack force, leaderless and objective lost, began to retreat. On the bridge of Jackson's flagship, grim-faced officers watched as the enemy disengaged. In the medbay, Caleb clung to life by a thread, his body ravaged. The ship's doctor shook his head. "I don't know how he survived that blast, but he won't last long." Jackson nodded solemnly. He gave everything for this mission. Make him comfortable. As Caleb's life ebbed away, reports flooded in. The Novium refinement data was intact. Humanity's technological leap forward had begun. Across known space, the balance of power shifted. Humanity ascended, while the Prylorians reeled from their losses. Some of their leaders, shaken by human tenacity, began to whisper of cooperation rather than conflict. A new era dawned for both species, and it all stemmed from one man's refusal to accept the impossible. And the shattered remains of the orbital station drifted in eerie silence, a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered dreams. Through this debris field, a sleek shuttle darted, its occupants an unlikely pair united by desperate circumstances. Caleb Parker gripped the controls, his face set in grim concentration. Beside him, the Prylorian Novak's alien features were unreadable, but tension radiated from every line of his body. "We're approaching the extremist fleet," Caleb said, his voice low. "You're sure about this plan?" Novak's multifaceted eyes glinted. "It's our only chance to prevent all-out war. Your combat prowess combined with my knowledge of Prylorian tactics, it's the edge we need." The shuttle slipped undetected into the shadow of a massive Prylorian dreadnought. Caleb maneuvered carefully, bringing them alongside an airlock. With practiced efficiency, they donned their EVA suits and prepared to breach. "Remember," Novak hissed as they stepped into the airlock, "we target command and control. Sow chaos, disrupt their chain of command. Caleb nodded, hefting his pulse rifle. The airlock cycled and they launched themselves across the void. Mag boots engaged as they landed on the dreadnought's hull. Caleb's suit computer interfaced with Novak's, displaying a schematic of the ship's interior. They cut through the hull with plasma torches, slipping inside like ghosts. The corridors were a maze of alien architecture, but Novak led them unerringly toward the bridge. They encountered the first patrol at a junction. 4 Prylorian soldiers caught completely off guard. Caleb moved with lightning speed, his enhanced reflexes letting him drop 2 aliens before they could even raise their weapons. Novak's energy blade flashed, cutting down the remaining pair with ruthless efficiency. "Clear," Caleb whispered, scanning for more threats. They pressed on, fighting their way through the ship's defenses. Caleb's Marines training shone as he cleared room after room, while Novak's insider knowledge let them bypass security systems and stay one step ahead of the ship's defenders. Finally, they reached the bridge. The door slid open to reveal a scene of controlled chaos. Prylorian officers shouting orders, tactical displays showing the assembling fleet. Caleb didn't hesitate. He rolled a stun grenade into the room, following it with a burst of suppressing fire. Novak darted to a control console, his fingers flying over the alien interface. "I'm in their systems," Novak called out. "Uploading the virus now." Alarms blared as the ship's systems went haywire. Weapons powered down, engines sputtered, and communications cut out. Across the fleet, other ships began reporting similar issues as Novak's virus spread. Caleb fought off the last of the bridge crew, securing their position. He turned to Novak, a ghost of a smile on his face. Not bad for an impossible mission. Novak's alien features twisted into what might have been a smirk. "We're just getting started, human. The real battle is yet to come." Little did Caleb know how prophetic those words would prove to be, as fate and betrayal awaited them on the dreaded Empyrean.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.